Hi everyone, it's Will Falk from Protect Thacker Pass. You might have seen on our various online platforms that there is a meeting this upcoming Tuesday, May 25th at 6 p.m. at the Orovada Community Center. This will be a meeting where the Nevada Division of Environmental Protection comes to describe the regulatory process and to answer questions about the public commenting period. This is not a meeting where people will be able to give their public comments. It's simply an informational meeting to help people understand what that process will be like. It is raining pretty hard here. It stopped snowing yesterday. It's really great to see the rain. The land really needs the water. I'm really excited to see the wildflowers and to see how the sagebrush responds to this moisture. You know, it's one thing that's always sort of in the back of our minds up here is that Nevada is the driest state in the United States, and it's also been enduring a drought. And with the threat of the mine here, Lithium Nevada plans on using 5,200 square acre feet of water per year for the lithium mine here. And it really makes you wonder, is using that much water to pull lithium out of the ground ever a good idea, but especially during a drought? And this is a time when the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation is expecting to have to make the first ever federal water shortage declaration that will force water cuts in Nevada. So I don't need to go too far down that path because what I really want to talk about and what I want to take advantage of being trapped in the car and in the tent for is to explain from our perspective what we can expect in the NDEP public commenting period, and to there's going to be a lot of rhetoric that people hear at this meeting on Tuesday night, and we need to make sure that people understand just what's really going on. So we need to start out whenever we want to talk about how something fits into our strategy or into the total campaign. We need to start out by asking ourselves, what do we want? And at Protect Thacker Pass, we're clear. We don't want this mine. We don't want this mine, period. Our close allies, the Fort McDermott tribal members that have come together to form the group called the People of Red Mountain, last week issued a statement in opposition to the mine. They don't want this mine either. So we don't want this mine. I'm saying this a lot. I'm trying to hammer it home because we are not saying that we want this mine so long as Lithium Nevada uses the best available tailings pond liner. We are not saying that we want this mine so long as Lithium Nevada pays $72,000 to hire a fancy facilitation firm to facilitate conversations between us and the mine. We are not saying that we want the mine so long as Lithium Nevada pays to move the Orovada Elementary School away from the path that their molten sulfur trucks are going to take. We are not saying that we'll be okay with this mine so long as the DuPont Corporation, who stands to make a lot of money selling an air scrubber system to Lithium Nevada for this mine, promises that their air scrubbing technology is the best available in the world. We don't want this mine. We don't want a mine that is slightly more environmentally friendly. We don't want a mine that has seen some of the harms slightly mitigated. We don't want a mine that is slightly smaller. We don't want a mine. And we're going to fight to stop this mine. So with that, keeping that in mind, we need to kind of think about what is NDEP's role in all this. If we don't want a mine, does NDEP offer an avenue for actually fighting the mine? So the first thing that we need to understand about what NDEP's role is and what NDEP is capable of is that NDEP is legally required to grant Lithium Nevada the permits so long as they find that Lithium Nevada's permit application will follow the regulations. So again, NDEP is legally required under American and Nevada state law to grant Lithium Nevada permits if NDEP is satisfied that Lithium Nevada's project will follow the regulations. In other words, as long as the mine meets the regulations, NDEP must grant the permits. So, an important thing to understand about this is NDEP is not a democratic organization. The public commenting period is not a vote. The public commenting period is not a vote. It doesn't matter if 1 million people came into the Orovada Community Center, even if one of those people was Joe Biden, and they said, we don't want this mine. NDEP, all NDEP is asking is, does the mine meet the regulations? If yes, NDEP will give the permits. And what's even more interesting is, if no, NDEP will work with Lithium Nevada to explain what Lithium Nevada needs to do to meet the regulations. They'll go over the project application with them and say, if you tweak these things, we'll give you the permits. And then, of course, Lithium Nevada will make those changes and come back, and then NDEP will grant the permits. Okay? So we need to just really understand this. And I know that it kind of goes against what we're taught should be American democracy, that communities that are affected by big industrial projects should be able to say, no, we don't want this mine, and have their wishes respected. That's not the case in America. You don't get to do that. BLM is this is federal land that we're on. The 1872 mining law says that hard rock mineral mining is the highest and best use of public lands, including recreational uses, including grazing permits. And because that's the case, BLM is obligated to grant the permits, and then state agencies have a lot of pressure against them to make sure that they grant the permits. All NDEP is asking is, will these permits meet the regulations? And if so, they're going to give the permit. If not, they'll work with the corporation to make sure that the corporation can meet the regulations, and then they will grant the permit. And once Lithium Nevada has the permits, they are legally protected from many kinds of liability for many kinds of harms that they may cause. So if something bad happens and you want to go into court and say, hey, Lithium Nevada poisoned our water, the first thing the judge is going to go and say, well, did they follow the regulations? And they might still pollute water, even if they're following the regulations. Then the judge will say, I'm sorry, you can't sue them because they were granted a permit and they had the power to do this. Okay. So I know that a lot of people watching this video, even though I'm a lawyer, even though I practice in environmental law, they're going to say, that's wrong, Will. That is not what we were taught in school, and that's not what America is about. Okay, so let's ask then, why should we trust NDEP? A lot of people are like, the American government cares about its citizens. The state government cares about its state citizens. And we trust NDEP to put in place regulations that will protect our air, protect our water, protect our land. And we trust NDEP. Why? That's my question. Why? When you know the following things. Why do you trust NDEP? We need to know a few recent things about NDEP. For example, just last year, NDEP let British Petroleum subsidiary ARCO revise a scientific report in order to escape liability for cleaning up groundwater at the Anaconda Copper Mine in Yerington. So, to say that again, and to say it in different words, ARCO, British Petroleum subsidiary ARCO, was brought in to figure out what their liability was for cleaning up polluted groundwater from the Anaconda Copper Mine. The EPA said, you're pretty liable. You are responsible for this. NDEP comes in and based off the reporting of the Nevada Independent, the Nevada Independent reporter found the emails, found the documents, and showed that after a private meeting where no written agreements were recorded, but some verbal agreements were made. ARCO was allowed to revise their scientific report. NDEP accepted that report, and they were able. ARCO was able to avoid massive liability for polluting the groundwater. So NDEP collaborates with corporations to revise science and let corporations off the hook when they should be in trouble. Okay. You should also know about the state that NDEP, the jurisdiction, the state that they oversee, the state of Nevada, ranks first nationally in the release of toxic chemicals per square mile. Nevada ranks first nationally in the release of toxic chemicals per square mile. And they rank second in total release of toxic chemicals overall. So the jurisdiction that NDEP is responsible for is the jurisdiction that releases the most toxic chemicals in the United States. And mining is the reason why. It is mining byproducts, mining waste that causes Nevada to be ranked so high. As a side note, and what everybody should know too, is that Humboldt County is responsible for more toxic chemicals released into the air, water, and land than any other county in Nevada. So Humboldt County releases more toxic chemicals than any other county in Nevada. This is the agency that we're expected to trust to protect air, water, and land. I want to take everybody back to last month's public information meeting with NDEP over Zoom, where NDEP was directly asked if they ever deny these permits. And an NDEP employee who has worked on both air and water permitting for NDEP for 25 years stated that he can't remember NDEP denying even one of these permits in 25 years. He can't remember them denying even one in 25 years. Okay, this is the organization that we're being asked to trust. To make this, to drive this home, or to make this more real, and to put this in the context of what we're doing right now, I was invited to participate in a Zoom meeting on Monday, May 17th. It was a meeting between Great Basin Resource Watch and NDEP, and it was a meeting to discuss where things were at in the permitting process. Well, during that the meeting opened up with NDEP Bureau of Mining and Reclamation Chief Amy Keys explaining that NDEP plans on granting Lithium Nevada's water permit with a stipulation about mining below the water table. This is really important to understand because the public commenting period hasn't started yet. Okay, so it appears that NDEP has decided to issue Lithium Nevada the water permit before the public has even had the opportunity to comment. So NDEP seems to have already made up their mind before anyone from the public has had an opportunity to comment on this water permit. Okay. So it's tempting. It's tempting to hear this and to think, well, what's the point of going to the public comment period if they have already made up their minds? We still need to fill the Orovada Community Center. We still need people there, because we need the media especially to understand that we're not okay with NDEP allowing Lithium Nevada to poison the water, to pollute the air, to destroy the land. We need to basically make NDEP feel like shit for allowing pollution to happen to Thacker Pass, for allowing Lithium Nevada to cause air quality problems for local Orovada and Kings River residents, for local McDermott residents, for people on the reservation. We need to make NDEP feel like shit for letting them pollute the water. And we, like I said before, we need to be there to show our opposition to the mine. Lithium Nevada has been telling people that most people in the community support this mine. That's just not true. They may talk to some people in Winnemucca who think they're going to get jobs from this mine, and those people support the mine. Well, Winnemucca is 65 miles away, and people in Winnemucca don't have to live right next to the mine. People in Winnemucca don't have their traditional cultural sites here. The Fort McDermott tribal members, this is their sacred land. They have cultural sites here. They were violently pushed off this land in the first place, and now the government that violently pushed them off this land is telling them that they have to accept this mine that is going to destroy their land and poison their water, pollute their air, and make it so that they can't perform ceremonies that they've been performing here for time immemorial. And that is wrong. And we need to go to this meeting and let NDEP know that they're messing up if they grant these permits. And then we also need to start to get ready for how we're actually going to stop the mine. So I hope to see everybody there. I hope that people will be riled up and will show the world what people actually think about this mine. So hope you enjoy the wildflowers when they come out, and I hope you're enjoying the rain, and talk to you soon.